These are rollerblades. I can boast that I was one of the first in St. Louis to have a pair. They weren't even sold here yet, actually, when I received these from a manufacturer in Minnesota. And when I would be rollerblading in Forest Park, people would pull their cars over to the side of the trail to see what the heck I was doing and what this was all about. It wasn't long before rollerblading became the rage. Yes, I was the pace setter. But I have to say, I never got all the way great at it. But I did do it often, and over the years I've bladed with many of you. Rollerblading the park, rollerblading the trails around town. It was really, really fun. And I made sure, most of the time, that I rollerbladed up the big hills and not down them. Except for once. I took my rollerblades with me to Colorado, and I was staying up at Copper Mountain, where Highway 70 takes a sharp turn towards Vail. There's a nice, long, several-mile asphalt trail downhill, or should I say down mountain, through the pass from Copper Mountain to the town of Frisco. It did not look too steep from the highway, so I thought I would be fine, and it would be fun to ride so far and be able to coast for such a distance, though I admit to some fear as I laced up my rollerblades at the base of Copper Mountain and looked down. Because it was a hot day, I was not wearing many clothes. Really, just a pair of gym shorts that were a little too flimsy, white socks, those rollerblades, and a helmet. It did not occur to me that if I fell, there would not be a lot between my skin and the asphalt trail. I took a deep breath. I pushed back my helmet. I adjusted my wrist guards, and I pushed off. Within seconds, I knew I had made the biggest mistake of my rollerblading career. What seemed like such a benign slope at the top turned out to be so much steeper than I had anticipated. And then there were these dips, and then there were these rocks every once in a while strewn across the trail. And my wheels, these wheels, they were spinning so fast, there was no way I could get that thing back under control. I tried everything I learned over the years to how to break these things, but I couldn't figure it out going that fast, that steeply down a hill. And it wasn't long before I knew I was totally out of my league. Speeding faster and faster, feet chattering and twisting as I made my way down. There was a whole lot of shaking going on down here. I was terrified. I mean, terrified, realizing what a stupid, horrible mistake I had made. What was I going to do? And then in a split second, a word popped into my head. Looking back now, I think it was the voice of divine intervention. And that voice said just one word: fall. Really, fall. So I quickly realized what I had to do. I had to fall off the blades now or face a much worse fate up ahead. But when? When do I decide to do this? I know it was going to hurt like crazy to do this. Do I do it right away? Do I wait a couple more minutes? This is going to hurt. So I had to decide quickly. I leaned to the left, the blades caught a rock, and down I went. Butt first into the dirt, and I slid. Ouch. That wasn't the real word. I looked down at the sides of my legs, red with blood and embedded with little pebbles. My elbows, too, were bloody. Huge chunks of skin had been scraped off, but nothing was broken. I was able to shakily stand up, a bit in shock, I believe, and slowly, painfully, make my way down the mountain pass to where my friends were staying in Frisco that year. 3 priests they were. I learned priests do not become doctors for a reason. And that they're not the most compassionate when you get hurt doing something most teenagers wouldn't even do. That pass up there taught me 2 important lessons in my life. First, just because you think you can pull off something really awesome, but also very risky, doesn't mean that you should actually do that. Your perspective could be clouded by delusions of immature, unrealistic thinking and not a small amount of hubris. And secondly, when things are careening down a hill out of control speeds, the best thing to do is fall. My friends, I submit to you this morning that there's so much going on in our society today that can be compared to the immature, unrealistic thinking of Gary Brown that day. We really thought we could pull this off, didn't we? Like I did when I stood up there at the top of the hill. We stood up there at the top of that mountain pass, looking down on a world we felt confident we could conquer. We were poised on the wheels of progress. We were full of hubris and not a small amount of ignorance of the possible consequences along the way. The difference, of course, is that for us as a society, it's not just me on rollerblades. It's been the entire Western society in many ways, in several crucial ways, careening towards its own possible destruction. I speak of an ecological crucifixion, and I speak of the crucifixion of women. Today is Earth Day, as you know. This good Earth is in trouble. Every reputable scientist agrees. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, is telling us that we have to take the fall now, that there are a lot of immediate choices we have to make that will hurt to stop this careening of society towards the destruction of this beautiful planet. Yes, he is saying, and saying again and again, and recently again in his last exhortation, we have to take the fall. We may get hurt in the short term, suffer things in the short term, so that our children and our children's children and those who will follow them will be safe and be able to enjoy what we enjoy and maybe even more. We might have to take the hit. We might have to take the hit now. We might have to pay more taxes to fix this. We might have to lose jobs and even industries that are hurting this good earth more than helping. Yes, it will bruise us to stop living beyond the earth's means. We might have to get more informed, spend some time studying this whole thing, and realize that it's time we build this into our voting. That's what he asks. Build this into our voting. Our Holy Father, Pope Francis, has made caring for the earth and its future an imperative of our faith. So did the 2 popes before him, Pope St. John Paul II and Pope Benedict. They said the exact same thing. Pope Francis is saying fall. Fall now. Suck up what it takes in the short term so that it's not too late to recover. Just because we think we can pull off something really awesome but really risky doesn't mean we should actually do it. We're careening down a bumpy trail, and we're on a collision course with possible global ecological disaster. That's right. Celebrate Earth Day. Celebrate Earth Day today by mustering the courage to fall now, to take the bumps and the bruises and the skinned up knees, to do it now. There's another area, too, going on currently in this local society, not just Earth Day, but there's another area where it's imperative that we see what's happening, what's really happening. The so-called sexual revolution, unleashed, many would say, in the 60s, in my high school, college days, in the name of freedom, has led to extremes in even this generation of students now who are either very, very repressed or unbridledly, if that's a word, unbridledly doing what they think they want to do without looking down the hill at where it's leading us. It seems that over the years, probably started with that revolution, but a million things going on in society, it seems that we've lost the middle ground between repression and unbridled, and it's left too many victims in its wake. Many young women on campus, and more men actually, have experienced this careening of our society out of control over the cliffs, and are being faced with the choice right now to take the fall or to continue this careening that could lead to their own destruction and the destruction of so many more. They're faced with the choice to drop and get hurt now doing the dropping, and possibly stop all this. This week, WashU students are gathering from across the campus and gathering to stop the victimization of women on this campus. The numbers you would not believe. The numbers are shocking, even just of those who report this issue in their lives. And so often when women, young women come forward, all women come forward, and some men to share their story, far too often they're not taken seriously. They're dismissed. Excuses are made for what happened. They're asked stupid questions like, did you resist? Too many of us turn the other way when these things are reported. Many are frustrated by the complicity and silence of so much of the male culture in so many ways that goes all the way from perhaps Greek life to sports teams along the way. It seems that no one knows really how to raise their voice and do anything more than be silent out of fear of any number of possible consequences to them if they speak up, if they find their voice. The voices of victims deserve to be heard and honored. Our Holy Father has said just those words. The voices of victims, the victim who comes forward deserves to be heard and honored. What the community can do is shepherd the people, give them a safe place. The CSC can be that safe place. We can fall with them. Like good shepherds, we can fall with them. We can take their suffering, as the second reading said today, and make it the keystone of the building. That suffering can be the building of a whole new society. But if they speak out, even their own families, even their own parents sometimes don't believe them or discount it. The CSC this week is joining many across campus to listen to people's stories of being victims of sexual assault. Many on our staff will be sitting in our offices for different hours of the day so that people, students, can come over and talk if they would like to. And so are many others in other ministries on campus. Too many are hurting to ignore this, and for this little society to ignore it any longer. Can you hear? My friends, can you hear the voice calling to us as we are now realizing that the machine is going too fast and we are out of control? Can you hear the word coming from a divine intervention through these courageous women and the people who act for this earth? The word is fall. Fall off your rollerblades. Fall off your bikes. Fall now to avoid the worst case scenario. Yes, it will hurt. It will hurt to come out of hiding. It will hurt to be allies to those who are coming out of hiding, to not remain on the sidelines any longer, to witness to all of this. Yes, our elbows will get injured by relinquishing our attitudes of personal or gender privilege. Yes, our knees will be scraped and our knees are going to be bloodied by speaking up, but this short-term hit will save us from destruction. Now. Sad to say, there are many ways this society is careening towards disaster. These are just two. The psychological crucifixion and the crucifixion of women are on the table this week. There have been way too many victims all along the way, strewn all over those trails. And those are just two of them. Sometimes we just have to fall on purpose.